So, something pretty big is happening in Honkai Star Rail 3.3, something that goes beyond just characters or story. The gacha system itself is getting a few subtle but potentially important updates. I want to talk about the pull costs, how they're being presented, what it might mean for future transparency, and how this all connects to some real-world concerns about fairness in gaming. If you want to save up to 23% on the Castoris banner, visit lootbar.gg. Here, I can buy 3,280 Oneiric Shards for $40, while it costs $50 in-game. I just enter my UID and select a server. Since every top-up goes through the in-game channel, I received double the Oneiric Shards for my first purchase and saved $10. And this discount also applies to PlayStation 5 and Xbox. Besides Honkai, you can also top up in Genshin, and Lootbar has over 50,000 satisfied users. I regularly use Lootbar for my giveaways, so I can personally recommend it. Use my link in the description for an additional 8% discount. Let's start with what's actually changed. In the 3.3 beta, they've added more detailed descriptions for how much each pack of Stellar Jades, or Shards to be precise, translates into actual pulls. On paper, that looks like a small UI update, but the fact that they're explicitly listing how many pulls you get and the cost per pull in real currency, that's not something they've ever clearly shown before. For example, buying the smallest pack, 60 shards, gets you just 0.3 pulls, which works out to about $2.64 per pull. But if you have the first-time recharge bonus, that same pack gives you more value, about $1.32 per pull. As you move up the scale, that price per pull gets better. The 6,480 shard pack, the biggest one, gives you 50.5 pulls for $74 normally, or 81 pulls if it's your first time buying it. That's $1.98 per pull without the bonus, or just $1.23 per pull with it. Why does this matter? Because for the first time, we're seeing the actual conversion rates being acknowledged in-game, something players have been asking for a long time. In the past, figuring out how much a single 10 pull actually costs required doing the math yourself. Now it's presented directly. And this ties into a much bigger discussion happening in Europe right now. You might have heard about new regulations focusing on in-game currencies. Well, the European Consumer Protection Cooperation Network just released a full document about it, and it makes it clear that game developers should not be hiding the real-world cost of in-game purchases behind complicated currency systems. Their key point is this: if players are spending real money, they deserve to know exactly how much they're spending, regardless of how many steps there are between clicking buy and rolling for a character. And yeah, it sounds obvious, but most games still don't do this. Some require multiple exchanges, like real cash to premium currency, then to gacha tokens. And you're left wondering if you just spent $5 or $50. Now, back to Star Rail. Adding cost per pull transparency is a step toward aligning with those European principles, whether by coincidence or as a preemptive move. Also interesting is how express passes are handled. They actually come out to be one of the best deals in terms of raw value, almost 18.7 pulls for $5, or about 27 cents per pull. But that's spread out over a month, so it's not instant gratification. Still, for long-term players, it's clearly the most efficient deal. From a player's perspective, having this breakdown helps you make smarter decisions. You know when you're getting more bang for your buck and when you're just burning through cash without realizing it. But from a regulatory angle, this is about avoiding manipulative practices. The European report even mentions how using in-game currency can disconnect players from the actual money they're spending. That's especially concerning for kids or vulnerable players, people who might not fully realize they're spending real money at all. The report also points out issues like bundling currencies in amounts that don't match any actual item cost. That's something we've all seen, where you buy a pack of 3,000 shards, but the banner costs 160 per pull, so you're always left with weird leftovers. And then what? You buy more just to not waste the balance. That kind of trap is being flagged as potentially unfair, and this new level of transparency in Star Rail could help avoid those situations if it's implemented consistently. But here's a question for you. Do you think this is a one-time UI change, or the start of a bigger shift in how gacha systems are handled? To wrap things up, the pull cost display in version 3.3 might seem small at first glance, but it's actually a major change for how we interact with the gacha system. Whether it's part of a broader shift in line with global consumer protection trends, or just a helpful quality of life improvement, only time will tell. But it definitely gives us more power as players to make informed choices, and that's something we should always ask for. Let me know what you think. Do these changes make you feel more confident spending in-game, or do they just confirm how pricey it really is? Drop your thoughts below. Save up to 23% on the Casteries banner at lootbar.gg. All you need is your UID and server. The link is in the description.